Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another podcast. On today's show, I want to shed some light into this, myth that a VDP view on a dealer's website is better than a VDP view on a third-party website. Now, before I jump into the meat of today's podcast, let me set the stage. Dealers have been told that their website is the center of the universe, and that just by buying Google AdWords or Facebook ad campaigns, you can drive efficiently in-market shoppers to their website. And I'm not saying that dealers can't drive traffic to their website, but they've been bamboozled by the ease at which agencies and the largest ad tech companies have told them that they can get an in-market shopper to their website cost effectively. Now, I have a whole series that's coming up talking about eliminating waste and identifying better ways to spend money to sell more cars in a digital age, but this is a foundational element. You see, when I speak at 20 groups, it's very common for a dealer to say, "Hey, can I cancel all my third-party classifieds?" And I say, "Why?" And he says, "Because I'd rather have the people on my website." And it's like, well, that's a nice concept. But wait, Mr. Dealer, if you're saying you want to cancel all third-party classifieds, then aren't you really saying that you could do a better job of bringing in-market shoppers to your website than Cars.com, Car Gurus, Auto Trader, or Edmunds? And most of the time, the dealer would say, "Yes, I think I can do a better job." And then I ask, based on what? And then, of course, that's when things start to break down, because it's not a database decision, it's an emotional decision. But here's one thing I've been doing. I've been looking at the cost to drive an engaged shopper to a dealer's website who is actually interested in buying a new or used car. And the numbers are just outrageous. It's much higher than anyone has ever documented. No one seems to want to criticize Google. I will get to that in future podcasts. But here's one thing that I've heard. Dealers continually say, "I'd rather have someone on my website than on a third party because of competition." Yet, when they need to buy something, they go to Amazon.com because they know it's an efficient marketplace that gives them selection and price transparency. For everyone who's watching the podcast, I know that there's been a love-hate relationship with third-party classifieds, but Cars.com, Car Gurus, Auto Trader, they are the Amazon of our industry that gives consumers selection, price transparency, and the ability to compare products before they purchase them. So, when dealers see VDP views on a monthly report from a third-party classified, let's just say it's 15,000, and maybe on their website they had 10, or let's just say it's the same, 15,000. I've heard dealers say this over and over again. Well, a VDP view on my website is better than that third party, and I'm paying them a lot of money. So what I've been encouraging the third-party classified companies to do is to be more transparent in the engagement metrics that are happening on the VDPs on their websites, because I've already defined how dealers can track the engagement metrics on their own website VDPs. And here's what I found. On average, the number of people that engage on a dealer's VDP is a fraction, as a percentage, a fraction of the people who engage with a VDP on a third-party classified. And let me give you one metric, because you've heard me talk about it. It's called photo engagement rate, or PER. So it's defined very simply. How many VDP views did the dealer have? And of those, how many people engaged with the photo gallery? Now, most dealers agree with me that, especially for used cars, if a consumer is really interested in that used car, they're at least going to look at a few photos. So PER is the measurement of the percentage of VDP views that have some type of photo engagement. Now, dealers can set up photo engagement using the PCG specification for Google Analytics, and then setting up a goal called photo engagement, which will trigger at least once during a session if a consumer flips through some pictures on their mobile phone or desktop. And then they can count how many VDP views they got in a month, and of those same people, how many of them looked at photos to get their PER. Third-party classifieds have this information. They've had it for years, but for some reason they didn't see the gold mine that data could have in helping dealers understand their value. Now, I've recently done data studies with 2 third-party classifieds, and here's what I found. When a consumer goes to a VDP on their websites, the PER is between 55 and 60% for used cars. 55 and 60%. The average PER for dealers in the United States is less than half of that. It's 20 to 25%. That means 20 to 25% of the consumers who look at a VDP on a dealer's website engage with the photo gallery. Now, your dealership may be different, and of course I recommend that you test this, but this one metric speaks profoundly to the quality of audience that third-party classifieds attract, meaning people go to Edmunds, they go to cars.com because they want to shop for a car. They're not visiting to schedule service. They're not visiting to talk to one of their buddies that work at the company. Yet, when I listen to phone calls generated by AdWords campaigns that are trying to sell a new or used car, less than 15% of those calls are actually for sales opportunities. You see, AdWords can drive people to the dealer's website, but it doesn't mean that the reason that they clicked on that ad was for the intended message or purpose. You see, third-party classifieds are a destination, like I go to Amazon to buy something. And in the same way, consumers go to third-party classifieds to educate and narrow down their choices. And then they may go to the dealer's website, and then they may do a little additional research. But the engagement rate, those important factors, are so much higher on a third-party classified. So when a dealer says, I'd rather have the person view the car on my VDP than on third-party classifieds, it's not logical. It's not based on data. It's just based on this belief that it's easy to get a consumer who's in market for a car to their VDPs. And here's the truth. When you look at the cost to get an engaged VDP, this is very important, so take a moment on this. I am moving away from encouraging dealers to look at just total VDP views per month. I'm encouraging dealers to pivot, because here's what I found. As you get more engaged VDP views in a month period as a trend, you'll start selling more cars. Because just dropping someone on a VDP, if they're not engaged with it, is not going to tell you whether or not your marketing is bringing engaged shoppers. Now, not everyone needs to look at photos every time, and consumers come to dealers' websites multiple times. I get that. But this one idea of, if you want to sell more cars, you need to get more engagement on your VDPs, is really making sense to dealers. When you look at the cost per engaged VDP view, the average dealer website is 2, 3, or 4 times more expensive than a third-party classified. Let me say that again. It's 3, 4, or 5 times more expensive for a dealer to get an engaged shopper to their website than what third-party classifieds charge you. Now, that's not what some dealers want to believe, but if you don't believe me, let your data tell the story. Find out your cost per VDP view on third-party classifieds. Ask for the engaged VDP views per month, and if you can't get that data, just take 60% of that. And then do the same math for you. Find out, take all your marketing budget minus third-party classifieds, because that budget is driving people to your website, and find out how many engaged VDP views you're getting per month for your marketing budget, which is the total marketing budget minus third-party classifieds. And when you do that math, I call this the napkin math, you will see that your cost per engaged VDP view is so much higher than a third-party classified. That's why dealers who cut out all third-party classifieds, I believe, are making a critical mistake. I understand that dealers have some desire to create a name or brand for themselves, and I'm not discouraging that. I'm not saying don't drive traffic to your website, but you have to prioritize your marketing investments based on marketing efficiency. Lately, I've been looking at some AdWords campaigns, and dealers are spending, listen to me, $300 per sales opportunity at a 15% close rate. Think about that. At a 15% close rate, they're spending over $1,500 per car sold just in AdWords cost. And so it's pretty crazy when you think about dealers complaining that TrueCar is expensive at $300 a sale when they're running AdWords campaigns that could be $1,000 or $2,000 per sale. Are they really picking on the wrong people when they think canceling third-party classifieds is the right thing because they're going to double their AdWords budget? I will tell you, I haven't seen one single case where that has been the better decision. So, dealers need to understand that third-party classifieds play a role. It's part of a marketing mix. And it's part of a marketing mix because the engagement on third-party classifieds on those key elements that are important to show intent of an engaged shopper are significantly higher than on a dealer's own website. And of course, I encourage you to look at your own data. Don't take my word for it, but I've absolutely come convinced that dealers have it wrong about how they're measuring their marketing dollars, and as a result, they're just wasting a lot of money, cutting things that are very effective, and piling in on things that are very inefficient. But I'll have more of that in the days ahead. So in conclusion, engagement on a third-party VDP per session is much higher than on a dealer's website, proving that third-party classifieds, through their age, through their brand reputation, is bringing a naturally engaged shopper. And it's important for dealers to have their inventory in those transparent marketplaces so they can sell more cars in a digital age. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast, and I look forward to spending more time with you on a future episode.